Hello, my name is Charity Caldwell. I live in Metropolis, Illinois. I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee. I'm 37 years old. I've been married for 18 and a half years. I'm a homeschooling mother of two. One I have already graduated. I'm very active in my church. I love missions. That's where my heart really is. But there's a lot of people who don't know that I've lived with severe chronic pain since I was 17 years old. I received my formal diagnosis of fibromyalgia at the age of 19. They tried several different prescription pain medications with me, most of which I had some type of reaction to, negative adverse reaction. With Lortab and Percocet, Vicodin, all of those, it did require me to take Phenergan whenever I would take them, and most of the time I would have still some mild problems that required Atarax or Vistaril or Benadryl. So pain pills just didn't cut it for me. There was not really anything I could do but live with the pain. I guess it finally got bad whenever I couldn't even go to the emergency room anymore because I developed a severe allergy to Demerol, and there was nothing I could do about it, so I just lived in pain. Fast forward to August 2014, and a friend of mine who's a very wise lady, who is an entrepreneur, who is also very active in church, very active in missions, asked me to meet her for breakfast. By breakfast, that meant like 11 o'clock in the morning, because there was no way I could crawl out of bed before then. So I met her for breakfast, and whenever I got there, she said, "Please don't think that I'm crazy and out of my mind. Just trust me. I think I know something that will help you." So after finding out, that whatever this is, and she pulled out a bag and it had the kratom powder in it, and finding out it was legal, not illegal, but legal, that's very important to me. Finding out that it was something she had been taking and it had been helping her, even though I was a little reluctant, I went ahead and took it. I thought, I have no idea what I'm going to expect, but this should be interesting. Probably 20-25 minutes passed, and I couldn't tell I'd taken anything, but as I sat there, I realized that my back had loosened up and wasn't hurting as bad. And that's pretty rare because I have had a bulging disc at L5S1, and I have compressions at T7, 8, and 9. With the bulging disc at L5S1, it has required physical therapy, to which they couldn't get me out of pain enough to walk me through exercises, so my only saving grace was a TENS unit. So, as I sat there, I realized that my back wasn't hurting as bad, but I couldn't tell I'd taken anything. So I thought it must be a placebo effect, because, even with pain pills, there was always some type of a head high. And I didn't have any of that. And I was glad, but I thought it had to just be coincidental. So I went ahead and tried it a few more times, and each time I continued to have the same effect. The fibromyalgia pain was lessened a great deal. My back pain, it helped tremendously. My faith was restored that with the help of Kratom, I might actually be able to go back on more mission trips. My husband and I have helped with teaching the youth at my father-in-law's church that he was formerly a pastor at when there was no youth pastor. We worked on the children's church when our children were younger, He actually led children's church, and I assisted him. And he and I did the sound and media for the church every other Sunday. And then I went on mission trips with my children as they started getting older. I went to Cincinnati, Ohio for a World Changers mission trip with the youth group. I went out and fed homeless people throughout Memphis. I went to the soup kitchen in Binghamton community, and it's actually a church that sets up a soup kitchen, but I help them. And my husband and I joined Cairo's prison ministry, where we actually go inside and work with prisoners. So a lot of that took a lot of energy from me, and I couldn't do near as much of it as I wanted to. The one thing that I did do was we went on a foreign mission trip to Brazil, and we actually stayed in the jungle. And I was quite terrified before leaving that I wasn't even going to be able to make the plane ride. We took our children, it was my husband and I, and along with a group from our church. And, I mean, we were staying in the rainforest, in hammocks. However, I mean, whether it had been God or whatever, the environment, that was probably the closest feeling that I could say I have had that Kratom has been able to give me. That was the least amount of pain I had experienced, despite working really hard. But what I do know is that without Kratom, I'm not able to do near as much as when I have Kratom. I know I'm not the only person in this position. I know that for many, pharmaceutical drugs are not the answer, myself included. I'm allergic to all but 2 prescription antibiotics known to man. I have a very extensive allergy list with a very extensive lengthy medical history. Most recently, a diagnosis of rheumatoid arthritis, in which they wanted me to take methotrexate, and I'm unwilling to do that. I do suffer a great deal of pain. I have a stretched meniscus in my right knee, but with Kratom, I continue to be able to carry on, and I continue to be able to move. And if Kratom was taken away tomorrow, it would be very hard not to give up. My faith would get me through, I'm sure of that, but life certainly wouldn't be more abundantly. Returning to missions certainly wouldn't be the answer. So, since August of 2014, I have been able to experience relief that I didn't ever have, that didn't make me feel sick, didn't cause allergic reactions, or didn't cause me to feel high and distant from my own body. So with Kratom, I don't experience any of that, and that's quite a relief, because I also suffer from vertigo. With vertigo, oftentimes everything feels like it's spinning anyway. So with the Kratom, I don't have to worry about that, and it doesn't intensify or affect that. I actually have been taking this since August of 2014, and I look forward to continuing to take it for years and years to come. I hope I never ever have to quit. After having a small break, I took a 2-month break from Kratom because of all the negative media attention, and I thought, well, perhaps we had missed something. I need to stop. I need to go and research and find out what's going on. And so I actually quit taking it, and I expected withdrawals because that's what I was hearing about in the news. Well, I didn't have any agitation, no restless legs, no excessive diarrhea, and trust me, I have IBS as well, so that's not a mystery. However, with Kratom, actually, that's under control as well. Just another one of the awesome benefits for me taking Kratom. I also don't get sick near as much as I did, so I know I've read a lot about it could potentially be an immune booster, and so I wouldn't disagree with it. I have been able to have a lot of my stuff restored, and I didn't have the withdrawals whenever I quit taking it. A lot of the side effects and things that I've seen mentioned go back to some of the people are not really willing to admit that their family members had an addiction problem, and it was as a result of those problems with their addictions. Maybe they were trying to break free, maybe they were trying to use Kratom to do that. However, I believe most oftentimes everything that I could find was either those people had slipped and went back to their addictions, and their family members just automatically thought and associated it with Kratom because that was the most recent thing they'd heard about, or it was combined with another drug and not just alone. For example, like they had taken a drug and then also used Kratom, so obviously they had Kratom in their system, but it didn't mean that it would prevent an overdose from something else. But Kratom doesn't have an overdose potential. It's not there. The risk is nil. And so when I was doing my research, I also ran across all the articles where they had done the studies with the lab rats, and it wasn't so much the Kratom they were giving them. They were using, their extraction method was a chemical that would kill a cow, much less a rat. So I began taking it again, and the only side effect that I had previously had from stopping it, which was a significant return of all of the pain, it had come flooding back. Well, I finally got relief again when I started Kratom back. So it's not just me. There's people that live in my shoes and in my same situation. I run across them every day online, and they're getting relief. They're not getting high. Kratom is not synthetic. Kratom is a leaf grown on a tree, dried and ground. Anything that is synthetic is not Kratom. Kratom is an all-natural leaf that does not create a high feeling, does not make me feel dizzy, does not make me feel separated from my body, does not make me feel ill. It just alleviates a great deal of my pain. It helps me have a little bit of an extra energy, like if I had been able to afford to go to Starbucks and have a espresso. Nothing more than that. Not even like I had to take a breathing pill for my previous problems with asthma. So it's not like a speed, it's just kind of uplifting. And so really, I don't see any reason that Kratom should be under the radar. I think it thinks that we have to talk about it in such a discreet way. I think that it could be America's problem solver. It could seriously lead to a lot of people being able to overcome their drug addictions, because so many oftentimes if you ask an addict why they're not getting off the drugs that they're on, it's because they're terrified of the withdrawals. They can't handle them. Kratom helps people with that too. It's my plea to you to leave Kratom legal, to leave it accessible, and not ban it. Don't put the stipulations on it that make it where it's impossible for addicts to get help, chronic pain sufferers to get relief, and if it were to become that way, I really honestly can't say that I know what I would do, because it would be very difficult to live without Kratom. Please keep Kratom legal. Thanks. Thank you for your time.